Hello friends, welcome back. Okay, so now if we look on our file, we're looking at about mutability page JS file number 57, line 57. Okay, so if we come over here and we search for line 57, we see it here. Cool, and so when I look at this code, I see that this is the block of code that the line 57 exists in, so I think that we should start reading from up here. Okay, so here we have a function. So get first name, get last name is being returned, where you return the last name and the full name. It looks like here we're setting the full name as the first name plus the last name. And so yeah, we just basically are building a constructor function so that we have a tool of a function with all this stuff on it. So we've got our get first name and we're setting our last name within it. Yeah, and so here if we were to create a person, so here we set a person, the variable of a person, we set that to a new person of John Smith. If we were to print out just the person, that's what we would get. We would get a person, and then they also have these three functions on them. And so you'll notice that this is a different way. The way that we're saving the functions on here is exactly the way that we saved them up here. So this is doing the same thing effectively as this guy, but this is just doing it within the thing. Cool. So if you go a person.firstName, so yeah, what are they saying here? They're saying we're creating a new person. So a person is here, and I think yeah, a person.firstName. Okay, so first name doesn't come up. It says return first name. Oh, okay, cool. So yeah, what we're setting it here is so we're returning the first name. We're returning the value of the object that was passed in. So right now, if we were to go a person dot get first name, it's going to render out to John because it's going to remember that we passed this in as the first name, John and Smith, and then that's also going to be the same for last name, Smith. But what happens here if we say expect a person to get okay, so a person, but here they're changing the way that it's set. A person dot first name is equal to Penny. So now if we do that and then we say get first name, it still says John. That's interesting, right? Should know that variables inside a constructor and constructor arguments are private. So we lose the value of setting a first name here. We're still going to have, the first name is still going to be John. The last name is going to be Smith. And the full name is going to be equal to the first name and the last name together. I think that it's going to be John. And then you'll notice there's a space right here. So Smith. So I think it's going to be like that. And so if we do, now we're saying on this person object, get the full name, and we're changing it so that the full name is now a function. Instead of it being this function, we're replacing it with that function, with this function, where we do the last name, a comma, and then the first name. So what do you think that's going to do? Do you think that that's going to affect it? I think that that's going to make it so it works like that. So I think it's going to be Smith, John. And we want it to make sure it's a string. Smith, John. So here what we're doing is changing the way it is. So if I were to save this and refresh the page and scroll all the way down, it looks like I made a mistake somewhere, 65. So somewhere along the way it was incorrect. Okay, so what I did here was I assumed that this would take this would take the value of this guy, even though we saw that this didn't take the value of that. So yeah, let's just pump this back in here. I want to run this again just to kind of look at the objects and see what's going on. So here we're creating a person. And now we're just going to do these three objects where we change those. Now what happens if we go a person right now? Yeah, see, it has them saved in here. But if we go a person dot first name, Penny. You know, I don't think that this actually worked. Let's see. Andrews. Person dot last name. And then what happens if we do get first name? Yeah, this is going to be John again. So the get function makes it so that it still ties it to the constructor. Whereas this, I guess it's just a part of the thing. It's kind of interesting. I don't really understand what's going on here. But if we go to a person right now, and we render that out, and we were to drop down this menu, we'd see that the get first name still has on it within here. So maybe somewhere in here, it's got, yeah, the last name, the first name, and the full name are saved within this scope. However, the full name here is saved within here. So I don't understand exactly why this is working that way, but I guess that's JavaScript. So this is going to be John. Cool, and we save that. So I encourage you to check this out and look into it more if you really want to understand this. So now that I've saved my work over here, I should be able to come back to our Chrome and refresh the page, and it looks like something else has gone wrong. So line 65 is incorrect. 65, John Smith. It expects Andrew Penny Andrews. Oh, wow. Okay. So what this is saying is when we set it here, it's actually going to take precedent over the, it's going to actually pull the first name and the last name from a person.lastname. So the get functions are actually, man, that's wild. Crazy. Okay, so Andrew Penny. So this is going to actually solve our problem. So somehow what's going on here is you're thinking about mutability. When we create the new person, it's getting saved. The first name and the last name are being saved immediately as this thing is saved. And then a person.firstname, the key value pair actually saves to that. But this is saved within the scope of this function, and that first name is saved within there. Huh. I hope that makes sense. It makes sense to me, but it's sort of, it's very tricky to understand. So I encourage you to double check it if you're not really understanding this. So if I refresh the page, scroll down to the bottom, now we're thinking about higher order functions, which is cool. That means that we are complete with mutability. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and we'll see you in the next lesson.